Yes, it's Fenriz. Talking about Panzerfaust on the mic. Let's say you run on the treadmill for like 10 minutes, and that will be the Transylvanian Hunger album. And then when you push the stop button, you still have to walk for a little bit, like there's still something, you know, sort of something left. The two fast tracks on Panzerfaust is sort of like, is that excess inspiration I had for Transylvanian Hunger. So you can hear like the material right here is just like a continuation of Transylvanian Hunger. Although the vocals for this album is well, way much more barbaric and fucked up than anything else that Ted ever did. It's the 5th album that we released, and there was a little mistake there. I had to just fill in some extra guitar. Anyway, yeah, it's our 5th album, and the first album was like, had like a professional sound or whatever, and then we just went into raw sounds. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is the most necro album we ever did, in my eyes. But then there's some sweet, slower songs in this one. Pronunciation of this song in correct Norwegian would be En vind av sorg. I still like this riff though. Yes, it's good. The drum beat here, which filled most of the Transylvanian Hunger as well, is basically just like inspired from the fast battery stuff that Darkthrone did back in 85, 86, 87. So it's not a 90s thing, it's an 80s thing. It's just when Darkthrone released Under the Sign of the Black Mark, you know, people weren't ready for it. So it could just as well have come out in 91, you might think, but then what would we have to be inspired by? It's 80s stuff, man. Just it became popular in the 90s, not when it was supposed to be popular, which was right after the release of Under the Sign of Black Mark with Bathory. Enough of that now. Gonna have me some mouth tobacco. Snooze. Oh yeah, did I mention I recorded this whole thing, made and recorded and played everything. Ted laid on the vocals later in the process. That was a drum break that's a bit too technical for primitive black metal, but I couldn't help myself, I guess. This is a typical riff that you could find on the first Vader demo, Necrolust. Because that demo was a huge inspiration for us. Not the usual copy, but Ted got a fucked up copy with lots of hissing in the background, and we love that. The front cover of the album is one of my favorite Darkthrone album covers. It was pretty groundbreaking when I decided that we should have just like one dude on the cover of our albums, because in 1991 when we did that first with Blaze Northern Sky, no one really did that. It was all paintings, if you can remember. Incidentally, this type of drumming was later named by someone as sort of sound you get when you have when you water the lawns, like with those machines going. Very accurate. Fucking fantastic. Now the way I'd record this stuff was first I had to make the song in my head, like on the guitar, then memorize it in my head, then sit behind the drum kit recording the drum tracks like on one track, and then when that was more or less a success, then I'd just lay on the two guitar tracks here, and then I'd do no bass because there was only 4 tracks on the portable studio Necrohell, so and Ted had to come in, fill in number 4. Here we go, next track. Triumphant Gleam. Of course, I expected Ted to do typical Tom G. Warrior vocals when I had made these 3 songs on this album. That was total highlighting of the Celtic Frost style, which I thought not enough people did at that time. I mean, I couldn't even buy a Celtic Frost t-shirt in 93 or whatever. I had to like print my own. Same with Possessed. You might not believe it, but Celtic Frost really had like not a lot of popularity in the early 90s until it was popular in the underground, but really not like a household name at the time. It became hugely successful the longer we got into the 90s, and then for us they were always gods anyway. First song I heard with Celtic Frost was Dawn of Megiddo, I guess, as I was browsing through the record store in '86 looking for long songs, and I just asked, that song is long, can I listen to it? My life was changed a little bit after that. Celtic Frost was probably the main influence why I even started playing in a band myself. I figured his riffing was genius, the way he picks notes, but still really simple stuff to play. And this whole song, the slow stuff here, is just... it's a tribute to Celtic Frost. As I believe he could have made these kind of riffs in 84, 85, 86. Definitely. Call it a rip-off. Here we go! D-beat. For those suckers out there who still just deny that metal comes from punk and prog rock and heavy blues-based rock, Celtic Frost was typically loved by punks and metal people alike. And here is the typical riff that you would find on Morbid Tales or True Megatherion. These kinds of riffs. It's amazing. And punk as hell. This being a more thrash metal riff, of course. Those are some seriously harsh vocals. The ride cymbal sound on this album, as you can hear, is absolutely fantastic. I never had a better ride cymbal sound. Sounds like he's saying the penguin there, actually. Batman related or no? Even typical Tom G. Warrior solo I did there. Again, punk as fuck, this style. I'm still amazed when people listen to Megatherion and they can't hear all the punk parts in it. extremely huge lack of knowledge or feeling. Not being able to see that. I'm sorry, but gotta try again.
Now can
So I've structured this album with one fast song on side A and then 2 slow ones, and the same on side B. One fast song and then 2 slow ones, and then an outro. This is one of the best songs probably on Panzerfaust. Hordes of Nebula! Lyrics written already in 1991. I think I sang that for a prog metal project that Thomas Bergli had called Opera back in 91 or something. Fast Uranus. Priceless. Lyrics are damn serious though, and pretty typical of my mindset in, well, basically my whole life, but really 87 to 91. Typical Fenriz lyrics. And very typical of my way of playing guitar, a lot of shaking the strings tenderly, but also, well, I guess I learned that from Tone G as well. I got a knack for playing guitar like Tom G, I reckon. I'll tell you about Ted's vocals and Ted vocal performance for this later. Here's the cool part. You can hear the pain. Now that's one hell of a ride sound. When Ted came in to do the vocals, I don't know, we were pretty fucking wasted, both of us. Just plugged in the microphone and said, "You want any effects?" No, he didn't want any effect. And then I just left the room because this was in the whole thing took place in my living room, which was also like a rehearsal place. And then I just went into the kitchen and he started singing, and literally the floor was shaking all the way into the kitchen. He sang so motherfucking loud, man. And it's the most barbaric vocals I probably have ever heard. Shocking. Shocking. Getting the drums to sound like this, that took a while to figure out. It ended with me trying to hang the microphone down from the wall behind my back, so it would be, the mic would be placed like, yeah, right behind my higher back area, and then I just drum away. Work like a charm. The guitars, the strings, the amps, the effect box, I have no memory of that, and I had no intention of ever remembering that either, so sorry about that. Lead heavy Celtic Frost worship. The cover photo was allegedly taken in Vestby, Trysil, where Ted lived, and we also have another album cover from that area, from Ulvsjöberget, which was on our new wave of black heavy metal EP or single or whatnot. Okay, getting ready for side B, and then that means a fast song. Another one of those Transylvanian hunger sound-alikes, the leftover inspirations from that album. Correct pronunciation of this song in Norwegian, or what do I pronunciation? The way it's supposed to sound, if you wanna say the song title, is Hans Siste Vinter. I think maybe the two fast songs on Panzerfaust are the one with most mistakes in them. I definitely feel like I could have probably used a little more time on the drum tracks, because then the rest would sit better. But at the same time, I was really stoked about doing the Celtic Frost stuff. So I'd like focus on the candy. I thought at the time that this was sufficient, and of course you first just let them out on the free market. With all of you listening, then there's no turning back. This shouldn't be done again. This is a typical, the notes in this riff is what I always wanted to do. This is not evil at all. This is what typical Iron Maiden riff is, just played in that usual battery tempo. But the notes here could easily have just been a new way of British heavy metal playing. Or some epic metal, no problem. And well, that's what I'm doing now. I did that in 87 and 88. It's just with this black metal dress on it, you just don't figure it's like, it's basically nice notes, you know. And these riffs right here that Transylvanian Hunger is also full of, it must have been inspired by early Burzum. So you can thank Varg if you like this stuff. And Transylvanian Hunger as well. I'm not saying all the riffs, but a lot of them. It's just I had to choose my own tempo, which was basically always the fast battery stuff. And he'd do these melancholic riffs in off on a slower pace. Then I chose this fast pace to do them in. For the record, I think it's better when it's played with slow drums than the fast style. But you know, he had cornered that market and I cornered this one. No offense, Quorthon. Long fadings I chose. The opposite of the fadings in the soul music from the 60s. They just faded like 2 seconds. Harsh. Kill your darlings. And okay, moving on to the last of the Celtic Frost inspired songs from Panzerfaust. Track number 5 on the CD, Beholding the Throne of Might. Ted squeezes in a hey here, I think. A tad more harsher than Tom G would have made it. When Hells calls your name, actually. Fucking rich. That was a line from Transylvanian Hunger. Når helvete en gang kaller, det ingen vei tilbake. Which was here in English instead. And the burning fire will be seen from afar. As the new written throne. So, I always liked the bass sound on Morbid Tales with Celtic Frost, and I had no idea how to create that bass sound. But what happened is when the 4 tracks on the portable mini studio called Necrohell were filled, like with track 1 had the drums, track 2 guitar, track 3 guitar, and then track 4 was filled with Ted's vocals, you can hear here, then it was full. So I had to make a master tape then, and then had like a tape deck, and I plugged the tape deck into the mini studio, and I plugged the bass like totally clean into the mini studio, and then as I transferred every song over, I also played the bass at the same time. It like took a take or two on some of the songs, but not more than that usually, I think. And then I actually got that sort of clean, strange bass sound that you can hear on Morbid Tales. Lucky me! It was a pretty gung-ho way of doing it, actually. The entire master tape was just a cassette tape. That's rock and roll. Another solo where I just like sort of try to feel what kind of notes that Tom G would have chosen. I also think Panzerfaust is the peak of Darkthrone's insanity. We are the future. Be the situation master. Be the hammer. The hammer. And when I say insanity, I mean the way my mind worked at the time, the way we did things here, what we allowed, and we just allowed whatever happened with the vocals and the mistakes in playing. We didn't have a label either. this album was just like sort of created in a void. We had also lost all our, at least most of our distribution, so things were looking pretty grim. And then my father died. But that was right after this. We are the future. More metal punk, yeah. Typical great mid-80s vibe. We gotta thank Celtic Frost for being one of the bands bringing metal and punk together. Shoddy drumming. I'm really struggling here, which I like a lot. The worst thing I hear is like a overqualified drummer. Okay, now for the final real track, Quintessence. Lyrics written by Varg Vikernes. Singing, the vocals are outrageous, but the music is 70s folk rock, basically. Just with a little more fuss on it. The vocals, of course, have nothing to do with 70s folk rock, but you could easily hear some Steely Dan. I mean, Steel Eye Span. you can hear easily, figure that you could have some Steel Eye Span vocals on top of this on a bad day. It has also nothing to do with the folk metal that Skyclad delivered in the early 90s. I reckon they were the first folk metal band, actually. This is more inspired by the Viking metal that Quorthon started to create in '89. So there's a little bit of Viking metal from Quorthon here, but basically 70s folk metal vibe. There's another version of this song on the Storm album called Nordavind, with some female vocals and whatnot on it. And some clear vocals as well, if I remember correctly, courtesy of myself. On the I used to feel a lot of freedom listening to this and making this, but when I listen to it now, it kind of feels almost claustrophobic in some way. It's a slow song, but intense nonetheless. So the songs for the album. The songs were recorded in February and April in '94, but this album, I don't think it saw the light of day until... Oh, great mistake in the background there. It didn't see the light of day until '95, as it was released on a smaller label, Moonfog. So we sort of went against the grain there as well. First we had albums sounding harsher and harsher and harsher, and then we went from a larger label, Peaceville, onto a smaller label, Moonfog. So, Against the Grain is our middle name. This is a pretty fucking cool middle part right here, mid part of the song.
Swallow my ship. I steadily walk back home, and I only got wet on my feet.
Yeah, and you can also hear the way the recording sounds a lot like the production for Isengard. I was doing Isengard in, I started in '89, but at this time I also recorded Isengard songs like on the side. So if anyone heard the similarity, they are absolutely correct. It's in the middle of Isengard sessions that this was recorded. Or Isengard, as you probably say. In the other parts of the world. I say Isengard. I think the vocals here is one of the reasons that Maniac, that used to sing for Mayhem, now sings in Sheep Leave, is digging this Darkthrone album the most. Rather relentless vocals, Ted. Thank you. Yeah, here I am about to finish the whole song. I turned the drum rhythms around, and that is inspired by the song Pilgrim by Uriah Heep, an album I got already in 1974 for my 3rd birthday. And I did not do this intentionally, it's just when I hear it now, I can hear that it's been in my blood all the time. Its whole end part is so inspired by that song Pilgrim by Uriah Heep. It's unfucking believable. I probably snail mailed Ted all the lyrics back in early '94. Then he just sat around, just read the lyrics. Hopefully had some version of the songs on tape that I sent him, maybe with drums and guitars. But the memory fails me here. But I must have been mad if I didn't send him that stuff. So he would come prepared. Although prepared, the vocals are so insane that any preparation, it's hard to think that he didn't just go barbaric on us and just lay it out. Okay, here is the outro, which is a poem, the first poem in the first poem book by a Norwegian writer Tarjei Vesaas, and the poem is called Snø og granskog. A synthesizer here is also effect is also used in some Isengard tracks. The poem is from 1946. I think at least the book was released then. Probably an older poem, he had it lying around, I don't know.
Fra første stund det vårt. Før noen har
I don't think he got any royalties from this.
At det snø og granskog. Har det plass I oss? Og siden det der.
I stole at least another poem for an Isengard lyric as well. Just don't remember the author. It's
Hele tida.
nothing I'm very proud of, but at least the poem lives on in another form.
Meter I fond kring mørke tre. Det for oss. Innblandet I vår egen ande. Hele.
And people to thank for this release, there are not many. It will have to be me and Ted and Satyr for releasing it, and Varg Vikernes for writing the lyric for Quintessence. That's about it. And that's all she wrote. I'll leave you hanging till next commentary tracks for next album.